Hello, welcome to the Critical Obsession podcast. My name is Mirella,
And I'm Zoe.
and today we're going to react to and have a critical discussion about episode 1 of Vice Versa. I am already a bit tipsy, not gonna lie.
I am not just yet. I've just started drinking. My plan had been to come home from work and just start drinking, but that was not how my day went. And in actual fact, if that's what had happened, this would have been a very different start to the podcast.
Well, I don't know what else to say. I mean, anything that I could say right now could be a spoiler. So I'm looking forward to watching this with you. I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about it. And I miss them, so I just want to watch it.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Part 1.
Part 1. I really only have one really major takeaway from part 1, and that is, oh my god, I've decided that Jimmy is like so attractive. Like, I already knew that. Like, you already knew that. But, like, just, like, wow. Honestly, really, like, wow. I feel like he has, because I've always thought he was kind of cute, but he has this, like, look, I reckon, that, like, the more you look at him, the more attractive he gets. So I'm a little bit afraid, like, because I just feel like the more I look at him, the worse I'm getting. So I was a little bit distracted by his beauty, I will confess.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised initially that I feel like people who are just tuning into this should know that I've actually, Morella has seen this show before, and I have actually attempted to watch this show with another friend before, and I slept through the good first 6 episodes. So I don't remember much, although I was surprised because I remembered more than I thought I did. I think initially, probably this first episode, I probably actually was awake for most of it. But what I was surprised about was that it was a really long part for like the first part. Like, that's kind of unusual, isn't it? It's usually
Mm-hmm.
not. Like, usually, like, the longer parts are like part 4 or like somewhere in the middle or something. Not like, I just was surprised by how long it was. Not that it felt like it
Mm-hmm.
went a long time or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was thinking about it as like it was sort of starting and everything. I'm thinking, well, it makes sense because obviously they have to lay a lot of groundwork in this initial first bit. So
Well, they have to let us know who this character is so that we feel that it's a completely different life that he gets thrown into, that
yeah,
he lives in the body of a different character that is not at all like him.
yeah,
And the way they tell his story in this first part, I feel like it's very good.
yeah. Well, I
And
mean,
I put a lot of thoughts about so many things. Little things that tell you who he is and why he is like this.
yeah. Well, should I give you my impressions and then you can sort of like fill in the gaps and tell me if there's anything I missed or that I'm wrong about?
Okay, let's go.
All right. So my interpretation is much of what you just said is that we're shown in this first part that he takes his job and everything he very seriously. He's quite a serious character in comparison to his friends, who are a little bit more, life work balance. And what we see in the, like, I guess, all the impression we get of this body that he's injected into in the sort of last couple of minutes of this part of the episode is that this guy is probably the opposite of that. It seems like maybe he's a bit of a troublemaker. Um, and I mean, he's bar fighting, almost hitting people with his car. Like, these are not the same characters. But it's interesting because where like you have the bit in the beginning when he's having his job interview and I was like, the color bit where he was describing their color bits, I was cringing so hard. I was just like, ugh. The words brown like a horse shit, I feel like should be on a t-shirt, but also was just like really
Another cool
painful.
t-shirt to add to your collection.
Yeah. was like really painful and just like kind of obnoxious at the same time to like witness and experience. And so we
Uh-huh.
went from that sort of like scene where I guess he's kind of an awkward character as well. Like his brain doesn't work the way other people's does, is what I took
Hmm.
from that. Um, and then we switch over to the scene, like the
I
scenes
want to
where,
add something.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think the first scene is a really good way to do some exposition. It's an interview. The first thing that we hear is, "Can you explain what a colorist is to you?" And I think the answer to this question regarding Talay, it's everything.
Mm,
The position of a colorist is basically his whole personality. And I really like, there's a shot in the beginning that I'm kind of obsessed with, when he explains what a colorist is and how he sees the world basically in a different way because he puts all these filters. um, and when he starts doing that, and the people who interview him look like, what the fuck is he doing, because he does all these weird gestures and stuff. And there's this certain moment when like Tale is visually, they filmed from the side. um he is visually separated from the interviewers by distance, by the, like, there's this kind of like a square column, I'm not sure that that is. And on his part, the world is green because he, this is how he imagines it. One
yeah.
on the other, when while on the other part it's the normal color. And he, it kind of makes it look like he's already living in his own personal world, and he is kind of detached from other people. And and the fact that he puts the idea that he analyzes people and classifies them into colors in his resume or his CV says a lot about him, because I have the idea that he built his whole identity around the concept of being a colorist. This is all that he's really interested in, this job, this profession.
Mm,
And when they ask him to associate them with a color, he's awkward. Well, I don't think he's wrong when he does that. I don't think this is really how he sees them. And maybe this is these are the colors that represent these people best. But this is kind of a superficial thing to do to people and take it really seriously. And the way he later talks and the way he behaves with his friends makes it look like um he's a person who understands other people's vibes. He does have this potential to know them, to create bonds, but he's not really interesting. He doesn't do anything with this pieces of information. And even though he sees the outlines of people, he does not make the effort to get to know them because he doesn't want to get closer.
mm-mm. Well, I mean, it's interesting as well. You said, like he sees the world like as a colorist. That's like his whole vibe. Because later on, when he's traveling with the friends and that, um, they say something. He says something about how he feels a certain way, and he uses a color to describe it. And they say, "Oh, not the color for emotions thing again."
Ocean
So
blue, ocean blue. This is how the episode is called, ocean blue. And I don't know if you noticed, but the drinks, I just
yeah, the
noticed
drinks are
this.
also called Ocean Blue.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
ocean
noticed
blue. Yeah.
that. Funnily enough, I actually remembered that from when I watched it the first time because I vaguely remember saying to my friend, "I wonder if," because I, obviously had noticed the um title and everything, and then I noticed that, and I vaguely remember saying something like, "I wonder if this is like important," and then I think I fell asleep. No, I'm just kidding. But
Drink
yeah.
every time Zoe mentions falling asleep. I'm just going to do this right now. Here's my drink.
By the way, we are drinking because I felt like alcohol was needed. It's Friday. I feel like Friday is a good time to have a drink. Also, it's really hot in Australia at the moment, so like a drink full of ice. If you hear like clinking and stuff, it's because ice is a definite necessity.
And then we had this scene with the friends, and we find out that Gyo is a fan of Poon. and they have, oh, of course, he is worried about the interview because,
He
he
was
understands that
awkward.
he was awkward. Yeah, telling someone that their vibe is horse manure brown is not the best decision you can do.
Yeah.
It's not
I
the best
mean,
thing you can do in an interview.
maybe not be quite that descriptive. Brown probably would have sufficed to like.
Yeah, like he even showed it, he even gestured it. I mean, oh
I know, right? I
god.
was just like, what? No, really? But yeah, well, it's interesting, as you said, you find out that his friend is a fan of Jimmy's character. I'm going to take a while to get their names down.
Boon,
No, I know what
boon.
his name is. I'm just like, I need to say it a bunch of times by myself before I'm like confident to say it on the podcast. I feel like I'm going to say it wrong.
Yeah, and she asked him to make the gift for Boon. So he's the one who prepares this hat.
mm,
He's the one who draws everything.
yeah, which I know is important because Morella has mentioned it many times in our chat.
Do you remember what happens though? What
I
is
just
important? What's
I just
interesting?
I kind of do, like, I know it's got something to do with the alpaca llama thing where it's like the clarification between what it is.
Uh
Um
huh.
so the next scene that kind of stood out to me obviously was the one where they're at the airport
Airport.
waiting for a glimpse of him. Um and you see this scene of Jimmy coming out of the lift, and I was just like, wow, okay. And I'm just like, I literally have written down here, he's so good looking. And then I had a question, and I don't know whether you should answer it on the podcast or if it's something you should tell me later. I'll let you
Mhm,
decide. But we have this like full on interaction between him and Tale here, and I
mhm.
want to know, like, is he still him here? Because obviously things happen to their characters and they end up in this other world. And
Yeah,
we know it hasn't happened to Tale yet. Like, we know Tale is still Tale. Is he still
yeah.
him?
They're both themselves.
Okay. So in all of their interactions in this first bit, they're themselves.
Yeah,
Okay, so they have
they
already
are.
met in this world, basically. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Um, and of course,
What do you think about the interaction?
well, I'm getting to
Mhm,
that. So we have this thing where they're waiting at a gate, and of course it's the wrong gate, and it's just kind of funny because that's just how it is. If you're a fan and you do crazy stuff, you're probably going to end up in the wrong place. Um, and he has to go to the toilet, and you see him, and they're both in there together, and I love how he tapped on the mirror. Like, he's just like, to get his attention, but also it's like he wasn't really sure that he wasn't seeing something, like when you're not really
Uh-huh.
sure if it's actually happening. I thought that was a nice touch. And
I also think it's interesting because, like, this is the way he gets his attention. He doesn't touch him. He
yeah, yeah,
taps on the mirror.
yeah.
And like, if you notice during the intro, there are a lot of reflections of scenes because, like, we're there in a different world and things are kind of like different but also reflected.
Mm-mm-mm. I don't have anything to say about it just yet, but yeah, I'll pay more attention.
Hmm.
um but the bit where he says to him, my friend is your fan, it sounds like such a line.
Yeah, like, who says that? Like, with such a face, with such a look in your eye, and that soft voice. My friend is your friend. I bet
Like,
that Boone thought he meant himself.
of course he did. That's why when he says, like, when he asks him about the hat afterwards, and he says to him, "Did your friend make it or whatever?" Oh, I bet the person who drew it must be really cute. Like, he's flirting with him, like, so
Uh-huh.
he knows that it was him. But he's
Yeah.
also doesn't buy the whole like friend thing, which is just kind of funny. Um,
Which is, yeah, funny because he is very honest. He just doesn't he did not expect to have this reaction from himself, and so he's not really
this scene
um
personally for me is so amusing because I've had this
mhm.
experience, like, in real life with a famous person. So I went to a thing with a friend. I won't get into details because
Uh-huh.
too much story, but I basically went to something with a friend. We both had people there that we were famous people that we were interested in, that we were like slightly crazily obsessed about. Her person, I was like, my person, I was like, yeah. And then I happened to meet her person and have like a full interaction with her person, and I just like fell apart. I was like, I was really cool when I
Mm-hmm.
met my person. Like I was just like, hi, how you going? You know, we had a conversation. I acted like a normal person, and
Uh-huh.
then I met her famous person and was like, nah, and then afterwards I was like, he touched me, and like I he was a really tall guy, so I don't know. I'm like 4'9", so I don't know whether it was just because he was so big, so close, or or and he's a good looking guy, or whether and he was really nice to me, or what. But I just was. I had no like zero interest in even meeting him. Like I only kind of did a meet and greet with him because it was sort of part of like what I was doing anyway. It was included, and so and yeah, I almost died, and my friend was like super pissed too because he spent a lot more time talking to me than he did her, and I don't even really remember what we talked about because I was just so like, he touched me, and it was really funny.
Enchanted.
Yeah, it was just so funny because when like I was watching this scene and he's like so affected by him, and I was just like, yeah, I've
Mm-hmm.
had that experience where I was just like, I don't want to be here. I'm not really that interested. And then suddenly they're turning their full attention on you, and you're just like, wow. So this is why you're famous. Like you
Yeah.
just, I lost my mind a little bit, and then it's funny because he reminded me also of me in this too because once he breaks away from him, like once they separate and he has this little moment where he slaps himself or whatever, like he moves on, like the moment's over. He's not, he's not like suddenly become a fan or whatever. At
Mm-hmm.
least he says to himself in this point. And he
Yeah.
says to the friend, like he's your friend, not mine, or like, oh, you're his fan, not me, or something like that. He says,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because like that, I was the same. Like in the moment, I was like losing my mind, and then later on I was like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then but I did find myself later on paying more attention, and like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
quite get to obsession status or anything with this person, but I paid a lot more attention because I had met them as a person, I guess, and so I was a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more interested in about what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, so it's interesting because in this scene, like I felt that, like I was like, okay, I've had this experience, I can totally like empathize with this, like what it's like. And the bit where he's like, he doesn't wash his hands, I was like horrified because I'm super like, I'm slightly germophobic, so watching this scene, and he's like, hasn't washed his hands yet, and I'm like, in my mind, um before Jimmy even mentions it, I was like, he hasn't washed his hands. And then he pulled the hat out, and I was like, oh no, his hands are dirty. And I didn't remember like the conversation from this bit at all, even though I've, as I said,
Uh-huh.
seen it. And then when he says to him about like not washing his hands or whatever, I was just like, yes, yes. Like that they addressed that, because I was like, yeah. And then later on when he slaps himself in the face because he was like trying to snap out of like whatever weird spell
Uh-huh.
he had been subjected to, he was like, oh crap, I haven't washed my hands. I thought that was quite funny. um but then
I like the moment when he says like you have a big head when he adjusts the head on Poon's head, and Poon has this smirk. He's like, oh, I know, right? He's like, oh, he's telling me like a compliment or something.
but it's just
It was a weird action.
it's a weird
Just
compliment,
someone
but it
telling
also
you
kind of
a big
sounded
head.
like a weird innuendo slash flirt as well. So it's just like,
And then
yeah.
uh-huh.
And when he says
And then
about it being an alpaca, and he goes, oh, I thought it was a llama.
oh,
um
actually also like when he accidentally drags Poon closer to himself and Poon doesn't step back. He just like you can feel that there's so much attraction and interest and sparks flying between them, and it's intense. And Talay is the one who has to do the tap on his shoulders, so Poon steps back.
mm-mm-mm. Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, he's intrigued by him from the first tap on the mirror. He obviously like
Mhm.
saw him and thought, "Oh, he's cute," or like whatever,
Mhm.
And then he proceeded to be completely dorky and awkward, which, depending on what you're into, can be really
Mhm.
attractive.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so we did that, and then of course the credits started, and so many sponsors.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. I saw all the like sponsorship like people, and I was just like, oh no.
Just drag your drink closer to yourself. Put yourself somewhere.
Yeah.
We can get through this. We can do it.
And then of course we have the scene where he's being the extra on the film set. And here's the dead body. I kind of remember the dead body bit, but I didn't remember like everything about this scene. Um
Mhm.
and I have, before I say anything else, I feel like
Mhm.
I need to say that Jimmy should only wear the outfit that he's wearing in this scene, like for the rest of his life. This should be the only thing that he wears, because oh my goodness, does he look fine in that outfit with the white shirt, buttons, and the like, what do they call them? Like suspender braces
Standards.
thing. And I was just like, roll me up, stick me in a burrito, I'm done. Like I was just like, I was just, like, even if I hate the rest of the episode, I could just get by on the fumes of like that for pretty much the next, three parts, because boy looks fine ass in those outfit. He should only ever wear that. That is my opinion. Um and then I did get sort of distracted by how good he looked in this. Like I will confess.
Did you not get distracted by the fact that he gets so close
Oh
to
yeah,
Tele
I'm
when he
just
plays?
like,
Like, do you need to be this
yeah.
close? Like, why?
I must
Move,
confess.
move.
I
Stop.
must confess, I was a bit in the camp of, do you really need to be that close? Is that in the script? Like, was it really, like, was he really meant to be that close? And then afterwards, when he's like adjusting his hair and like
Uh
wiping the
huh.
stuff off his face, and then he's like, I'm
Just
gonna be,
manhandling him,
yeah,
just
and
like.
then I'm gonna be this close to you, and yet pretty much touching him as much as he
Uh
could.
huh.
Yeah,
Uh
I
huh.
did notice
And
all of this,
speaking to
and
him softly and just breathing in his face and yeah.
yeah.
You know, the first time when I saw it, I was like, why is this scene here? Like, is it needed? Because I felt like nothing. It brought to me, like, the first time, I was like, why?
Oh, well,
It
I mean, to
basically,
me, yeah, to me,
yeah.
without knowing what happens later on, I guess it's to establish the fact that even before everything else, he was attracted or had an interest in his character, in Tale's
But
character.
I feel like that was clear in the first scene. Although in this scene, what is clear is that Tele's job or his obsession, let's say, because like you would turn off your phone and when you're filming in a movie scene, right?
Mm-mm.
Like the fact that he's so focused on one single thing in his life is just uh leading to the fact that they're not forming a connection. And so this feels like showing us that they've missed opportunities
Yeah, I mean,
to
in this,
get closer, to be together. Like Faith was putting them together, was getting their path to intersect, but they just never made the effort or something intervened, or just they
yeah,
were not in that headspace to really take it seriously, and like it's like they were going against their own fate.
yeah. Well, it's almost like it's kind of like it's a one-sided thing though, because like the interest is there, and
Mm-hmm.
and Pun, is that right? Is
Fun.
Pun is trying something. Because he's definitely, as I said, he's definitely closer than he needs to be. There's a lot of touching going on. He clearly
Mm-hmm.
recognizes him. And the funny thing about this is, I don't, even though Tale, like when he realizes that he's going to be on the set and that it's going to be an interaction between him and that, you get the impression that he's not, although he's like, here's an oh shit kind of moment, he doesn't really expect Jimmy's character to recognize him or acknowledge him or
Hmm.
any of that
Hmm.
sort of stuff. Whereas it's very clear that he does.
I
Um,
mean, you would say that he's trying to do something, but I feel like he he doesn't really believe that something good can get out to grow out of it. Because in the scene in the bathroom, Tele tries to speak and he interrupts him and he leaves. And I feel like it's both of them. Both of them don't believe. Both of them do not just go with the flow, kind of.
mm-mm-mm.
With no, not they both don't act based on what they're actually feeling because they do not. They have their reasons.
Yeah.
They both have
Well,
their reason.
I
As at
mean,
this moment, it's clearer to understand why Tale does
yeah,
what he
Tale
does.
is very much distracted by other things. So, yeah.
He's distracted by his job.
Mm-mm.
He and I don't know, like maybe some people are romantic, some are demi-romantic, some just are cynical, some just had certain experiences in their lives and they don't believe in like a fairy tale like love story, or they
Mm-mm.
don't believe that that can happen to them, or that they don't open their hearts to that, or they just tend to rationalize their feelings and ignore them. And
Mm.
yeah, I'm curious to see what you think later.
Well, I mean, the thing in this instance, like right now, from what we know, from what we've seen, um, in terms of the two of them, to me at least, it seems like Pun is more like aware of,
Aware.
yeah,
Yes, aware. Sure,
whereas
certainly.
Tale is like, it's not that he's not interested or whatever, it's more like he's so distracted by everything else, or specifically his job,
Hmm.
um that he couldn't see it unless it was like, slapped down in front of him, and even then, if it doesn't align with what his plan is, he's not going to accept it anyway. The other thing
Yeah.
is, as well, is I feel like, and this factors into this idea, and as I said, I kind of get it, because as I said, I had this sort of fan experience where his initial interaction with him feels like it shouldn't have happened, because
Hmm.
he's not the fan. So like,
Hmm.
it's like he had this experience that wasn't his. So
Hmm.
it would never occur to you that this person enjoyed having interaction with you, because it was an accident and you were just doing it because you thought you had to. It's hard to explain what I mean, but
Maybe
um
like you were overwhelmed by your own feelings, and you did not consider the feelings of the other person. You did not even perceive them as a person. They're just
yeah,
this image, this celebrity, this.
yeah, and to further that is like, when this thing happened to me a few years ago, is we had like, it was a thing we were at, it was several days worth of like interacting with the stars and stuff, and um the first instance, I had this interaction where, as I said, I kind of fell to pieces. Could not explain what on earth was going on with me. And then the next day we had like a meet and greet thing where we were getting autographs and stuff like that, and we were talking, you get a few seconds or a minute to talk to the person.
Oh.
And when I had this when it was my turn to talk to this person, I did not think that they would remember me. There were so many
Mm,
people at this thing, that and this interaction we'd had the day before, even though I had reacted a certain way because it was so unexpected for me. I was like really thrown by it. I
mm.
didn't think it was a significant experience for this other person. Like, why would they remember me out of thousands? Like, it didn't make
What
sense to
if
me.
then the obstacle that comes from Pun's side regarding this whole thing is the fact that he's a celebrity. This puts distance between him and
Oh, of course it is, because
everyone
it's
else.
like
No,
anything.
I meant if you think about what is holding them from becoming a thing, because like it's obvious that they're soulmates. They were meant to meet. They were meant to be together, right? And if not in this world, then like it didn't happen here. They're thrown to the other world, and not like at least there it's going to work, right?
Mm-mm.
They have to overcome the things that kept them separated or whatever.
Mm.
Maybe, or maybe it's another thing. We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
yeah, I guess what, as I said, well, I guess what I was trying to say was, in this instance, like from Talei's point of view, I can imagine him not really putting much weight on that first meeting
mhm,
anyway,
mhm,
because as I said, when I had this experience, I really didn't at all. And then when I met this person the next day, they remembered me, and I was just like,
mhm,
I by that stage I had sort of got my shit together, and I said to him, how awkward was I that you remember me? And he's like, no, I can't. We obviously had a conversation that he thought was interesting, and I said something that was funny or something. I can't remember what it was. It's not important. But like, so I had this in my own mind, made this like judgment, made this decision that like I'd had this really fun kind of, but super awkward because I was a bit of a, crazy person reacting to him. Like
mhm,
interaction that like
mhm,
was a big deal for me, because I was like, wow. And I just really thought like I was one of many, and I was, but like his reaction to that, his opinion on that, his um like takeaway from our interaction was completely different. So I understand, like I feel like from Tale's point of view, even if he wasn't so distracted by his own thing, his work thing, the way he looks at the world, whatever, like there's a little bit of that. I mean, he kind of tells you that that's a thing anyway by like reiterating with his friend that she's the fan. Um, you know what I mean? Like it's, he
mhm,
probably
mhm.
almost feels like he had the interaction. The interaction should have been with her,
Yeah, like
and
he
so
stole her experience.
yeah, he stole her moment. He stole her
Yeah.
possible chance at like whatever. And then
Which is
that,
funny because she's the one that puts him into the movie extra role later.
yeah. And then the other thing is though, but then he's told again, sort of, that this is happening because of his friend, because she wants something. Like the other
Yeah,
friend says to him, oh, that's why she got you to do this, because she wants to take
yeah.
lots of photos. So once again, he's been given a role that is like, it's like he is like the third party to their
Mm-hmm.
experience. And so
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective, if you were somebody, and even if like this person was openly flirting with you, which he's basically doing, is what Pun is doing,
Yeah.
he's very flirty, um
Mm-hmm.
you could very easily misinterpret that, or like ignore that based on like, oh, he's a celebrity, or he's just being kind, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
being really awkward, or like all these other things, because in your mind this is not your experience or your interaction that to be happening. That's like one
Mm-hmm.
part of, I think, what's happening. The other part is he's
Mm-hmm.
just so distracted by like everything else. And I think if you're like him, and I've got a friend who's on the spectrum, and she just sees the world really different. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
she is a bit like him, but she hears, like, she sees things in sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so like she attributes things to sounds. So like she if often if something, like, even if something really big and major has happened, if there were no like sound associations at the time, or there's nothing she can link to it, it's like nothing really happened. It wasn't an important thing. It didn't,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't resonate with her for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is like so focused in on like the sounds of things that she misses out on like people's emotions, like other things that
Mm-hmm.
have happened, conversation, like whatever, like, because she's so hyper focused on
Mm-hmm.
the way she experiences the world. And so
Yeah.
he seems to be very much like that in the beginning here anyway, with his colors. So if he can't fit it into if it doesn't fit into those boxes, if it doesn't fit into like his vision of the world, it's like the scene when they're at the beach with the friends, and one of his friends has taken a picture of the sunset, and he's like, oh, it's too much pink. Like, that's the fucking sunset. That's what it looked like. Like, he's fixing nature because it wasn't
He
perfect.
hates pink.
Yeah.
He doesn't like pink
I
because pink is like a romantic color.
Yeah. But I got that because it's,
But
you know, like,
it's a conscious choice that he's making when when they're in the car and she
mm,
asks, "Well, is he hot?" He thought he did think he was hot, and he was like, "Yeah." But it's a conscious choice that he makes to get back to work, to do things his own way.
mm-mm. But what I'm also saying to you, besides him not liking pink, like, he saw something that was nature perfect, right? And went, no, this doesn't fit my vision of how I think it
Hmm.
should be,
Hmm.
and proceeded to fix it. So that
It
doesn't,
goes against nature.
it
This
does.
is
And
why he's punished.
yeah, but no, it does. But also, like, it also makes it really, really hard for people, like, for people who are, like, not infallible, who make mistakes, who aren't perfect, whatever, to be able to put themselves in front of you, and for you to have an interaction with them, or for you to pay attention, or not try and, like, change them or whatever, because you, especially if you know you can do this, if you have this ability to, like, move things around the way you want them to be, like, change the way it should be. And so,
Hmm.
like, it would make it really hard for somebody to be able to, get you to pay attention to them and see them for who they are, like, straight off the bat. Like, that would be pretty rare. As you said, he keeps distance from the people in his life, so someone new has even less chance of, like, trying to break through that, like, boundary, that wall of,
It's like it's a really interesting thing because he does see them, but he doesn't let them get closer to him.
mm-mm. So,
Like he understands this, like, them superficially,
mm-mm,
but he doesn't want to know more. He doesn't want to necessarily understand why they're doing the things that they're doing.
mm,
He'll just assume if it gets to it, if something that really puzzles him, if he feels the need to explain it, he'll just fit in, I guess, fit the person or the things that happen into certain colors or boxes that make sense to him.
yeah, and that's right. And because
Mm.
he sees the world in that way, it would make it very difficult to get close to him.
So then they're at the beach and he is working at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And again, here, like, they have to force him to play. And when they're in the water and playing, he's alone, separated from all the other people because he's admiring the colors.
Mm-hmm. I was also very triggered by this scene. When he gets his cramp, I'm like, this
Uh,
is why you do not swim at night. Because I also had a similar situation
Drunk
to
at
this.
night, alone. Yeah, lots
Yes.
of bad choices here.
Drunk in the ocean with friends, but friends who are distracted and having a good time
Hmm.
separate to you. I didn't get a cramp. I got stung by a jellyfish, but same difference. I was like, okay, I'm gonna die. My friends are all like, and no one is noticing that. No one is noticing that Zoe is struggling. But yeah, so I was slightly triggered by this. But I was just like, oh yes,
Sorry.
yes, this is why you don't swim. This is why you do not go into the ocean at night. Um, yeah, alcohol is always bad. So I think one thing I will say about the show so far, and I hope they don't do this a lot, is I don't like the flashes.
The flashes.
Yeah,
Well, they had to use them here because he was basically, we were alternating between him drowning and Tess being beaten up, and so he
I
was
got
being
that.
transported into the
Yeah,
other body.
I got why they did it, but visually
Hmm.
I don't like the flashes. Like, normally it's funny, you'll be watching something and they'll do the warning, like, warning, may cause, like,
Hmm.
epileptic fits or whatever. And
Hmm.
that stuff never bothers me, but I don't know why, but I was heavily affected by this flashing. So I'm not a huge fan of it, so I hope they don't do it a lot.
I think
Um
they don't. I'm not sure, but I think they don't.
but yeah, so we did that, and then of course he wakes up.
And the shot is upside down when he wakes up. The
Oh, I
first
didn't.
one.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. I will be perfectly honest. I did not notice. Um, I was probably still triggered by the, like, drowning thing. But the thing that cracked me up was the parents.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
Tess is a troublemaker. He did not even almost hit someone. His dad said he hit someone with a car. He did hit someone,
yeah.
and this time
But
he
the
got into
but
a
the
bar fight.
when he's like trying to explain that he's not who he is, and the mother's like, "This plan didn't work. Just cry." Like, she's hilarious. I'm just going, "Oh
She's
my,
hilarious, but it's sad because it's
oh
clear
yeah,
that their relationships, his relationship with the parents is not the best, and she clearly spoils him, but doesn't maybe care that much. I'm
mm-mm.
not sure. And I feel like maybe the dad even cares more because it hurts and you're angry when you care, when
When
you
you're
are
disappointed."
disappointed.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the mother, she sounds like she when she says those things, and she's sort of like hurting the father out of the room and everything. It's almost like she's trying to. I don't know that I'd necessarily say that she doesn't care. It's more like she's trying to keep everybody.
Happy.
Yeah, I guess is the word. Yeah, that's probably not quite what I meant, but yeah, like keep everything,
It's like
calm
she's
everybody
letting him run
down.
free. Just do your thing,
Yeah.
just enjoy life.
So, but I just, as I said, without getting too deep, obviously, as you said, you saw it and you're like, clearly there's issues there. But from a comic perspective, the fact that she was just like, this is not working. This is because obviously she thinks that it's her son and he's full of shit. So
Yeah.
she's like, like try a different tact because that one's not gonna fly. And poor Tale is just like, I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
And then we get he goes to the bathroom and we get some
Reflections.
reflections. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, he notices that it's not him who he sees in the mirror. It's not his body, it's Tess.
Mm.
So should we go to part two? We've been talking for 40 minutes.
I know, yeah. Okay, let's.
No, because this one has lots of like little things that tell you a lot about who
Mm.
the person is,
Well,
who
I
the
mean,
characters are, and
as I
good
said,
exposition actually.
yeah, as I said, the beginning part is a long part. So
Mm.
it's usually, as I said, it's usually the last part of the episode that's the longer one, more often than not. And then you end up spending, twice as much
No,
talking
but
about that bit.
it makes sense because he's the character who gets thrown into a different life, into a different universe, and we have to know him in the original universe to care that it's another universe.
Yeah.
Because
And to even know, yeah, to be able to see that the changes are happening or like whatever.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All
All
right,
right,
so let's
let's
go
go.
watch part two.
Yeah, let's go do part two.
Part two.
So I
Go.
have So I have less to say about part two than I did about part one.
Well, it doesn't have as much stuff happening, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a shorter section as well, so there was a couple of things like in the bit where he like is trying to make a break for it, and they're all like, "Patient escaping." I'm just like, what is this? Like, why would that be the reaction? Like, it was someone who's worked in hospitals. I was like, unless it's like they're a prisoner or like someone who's being held for their own protection. That's
Yeah, against their
like
will.
they can pretty much just like leave whatever. I was
I
like,
don't know.
why are they
That was
chasing
weird.
him down? Yeah, I was just like, okay.
But
Um,
I think maybe they wanted to have this whole dramatic thing. But the scenes where he runs behind this archways, and at some point you see Tele, and then you see Tess, and then you see Tele, and then you see Tess. That was pretty neat.
mm-mm,
And also, have you noticed how white and clean everything looks?
mm-mm. Yeah, it doesn't look like a hospital, and I mean that's because it's not. Because I actually know what this location is. I think it's a hotel. Um,
Mm.
and so it's yeah, it doesn't look like a hospital, but also, as I said, because I know it's not like that. Although I noticed how clean it was and everything, but it's I mean hospitals. I guess it depends on the country as well. I mean, a good hospital does look clean and white and sterile, but Like
But
most of them
but it
don't.
doesn't. It's not only about the hospital. The whole world is like this. It looks cool. Everything looks cleaner. Cleaner
Mm.
is it correct to say?
Yeah, but I don't know that I'd necessarily agree with that, because we get taken to this place that is pretty gross.
Well, because they kind of create this version of their own world, of the world. Like this is where they feel comfortable because they, people from the other universe and this capsule of the other world.
Mm,
But I think it's interesting that it basically when they talk they're in the car. I'm jumping ahead, but now that we started talking about it,
mm,
it's and and Puadol, right, asks about they start talking about marriage equality and how in this world it's men can marry each other, and she asks, well, how just did things change in our world? And he says, well, crappy sidewalks, old dinosaur buses, gas is more costly, like they build skylines but they're expensive, so there's still a traffic jam. And she's like, so nothing really changed for the better. And I feel like this is basically like a better world. And
mm.
if you look at it, there's this thing that they're doing with the colors. The episode is called Ocean Blue, and if you notice, there's a lot of blue in this episode, like lots of blue lights, people wearing blue, especially Tale. And it looks like a world that maybe Tale would imagine, something that you'd see through his eyes.
Yeah, like
It's
he's
like a
colored it this way.
fantasy. Like this is his perfect world, but it's not perfect because it's not his world.
Mm-mm.
But
I
it's
mean,
a
it's
world where good things, fantastical things, idealistic fairy tale things are possible, and people
mm-mm.
really live these lives.
Well, I mean, this. I think it's probably going to end up being a bit like anything like this. When if it looks too good to be true, it usually is. Like there's usually a downside to something. Like nothing is perfect. And as you
Not
said, it might.
necessarily.
And no, well, but in general, that is the case. And as you said, and in this, it may just be that it's not his world. So this idea of you know it being the better version or whatever of like our world um is it's interesting because yeah, there's the good things like the marriage equality and the stuff like that that's changed, and there's clearly other things like when the friends come to see him in the hospital when he's still in the hospital, and like Tessa's friends come to see him and they're making fun of him and kind of like joking about the fact that they're also like
They're
lazy and
not golden boys,
yeah, they're
and they
like they're
bring
too
him a
busy.
drink.
Yeah, they're wasting their time, like spreading out their university study for as long as they can because they don't want the responsibility of like the running their parents' companies and everything. And he's
Hmm.
querying about this company that he's desperate to get back to, this job that he's has waiting for him, only to find out that the body he's now in is like basically has free access to his dream job without even trying.
Hmm.
So like Tess's character has the potential to be able to do whatever he wants within the film industry, and that is like basically his dream. So um but it obviously will come with caveats. It won't just be there'll be conditions, there'll be like it's not it looks really good, sounds really good, but like there's going to be something that is because that's just how the world works. Well, maybe it's not how that world works, but in general that's how the world works. um and it's interesting too as well that he's so eager, like, and he says it when he's talking to the nurse, and I'm never going to attempt to pronounce her name because I will definitely butcher that. But when he's talking to her on the rooftop and he's so eager to get back to his world, he says, I have a new job, or I'm
Hmm.
about to start a new job or something. He
He's not
he
even
he's
talking about his family or his
yeah,
friends. Like,
he's
I
friends.
have a
Yeah,
new job.
he doesn't care about those things. Like it's kind of very sad actually. But yeah, and so it's like, yeah, he doesn't care about the friends or the family. Like, he's not desperate to get back for anyone. Or it's
You know, maybe it's just that right now this is all that he can focus about on. And
Well, I mean, that's, yeah, sometimes that's the case. If you start thinking about the people you care about as well, like that, then that could drown you. You know what I mean? Like, that could, take you down to a place of depression that you couldn't get out of,
mhm,
where you feel like there's no hope or whatever. So he fixates on the job side of things. That could very well be the case. Um, but in this instance, it just looks like it's sad. Like,
mhm,
the only thing he has
yeah,
in his life is his job.
yeah,
And technically, he doesn't even have that, really, because he hasn't started that job yet.
yeah.
So, and then of course he goes to the apartment that belongs
Oh,
to
but
Tess.
also I thought what was interesting was the nurse in the other world was a male nurse, and they have a
Mhm.
talk about how people travel to this universe. And Puva Doll says that two people in a year in this hospital.
Mm.
And so it's actually a good place for the nurse to spot them and like maybe get them into the association and talk to them and explain to them that what is the situation and tell them that they're not crazy, they're not alone. What happens to people who get there and they have no one, they meet no one?
Yeah, I guess they're just stuck there and they have to learn to live with it. I mean,
Well, if they do, but also like if the fact that it's a hospital and people go through near death experiences together probably means that the majority would pass through some kind of hospital to when they wake up, they would wake up in a hospital, most of them probably. So maybe there aren't that many people who get there, but still there must be people who get there and they're alone, they're completely alone.
mm-mm. Yeah,
And the
well,
way he's like, get to my job, and the nurse is like, calm down, calm down, just take it
it's
easy.
interesting too, because like, he seems pretty chill, considering he's like, "Oh, can you get back?" And she's like, "Oh, yes, I'll tell you about it later." And then he says she says to him, "Why do you want to get back?" And he says his job and everything. And then they're talking about things in the car the next day, or 2 weeks later, or whatever it is. And
Hmm.
uh she says something like, "Oh, it's been 8 years or whatever." Like, to me,
Hmm.
if I was Tale, I would be like, "Wait, you said we could go back? Like, what the fuck? You've been here 8 years? Like, why
Hmm.
are you still here?" Like, that would be like, I would be freaking out at that point if I really wanted to get back.
Maybe
Because
he's kind of stoic as a person.
mm-mm,
He is serious about things that he cares about, and he is mostly calm. It's just a stoic person.
yeah,
Also, we get the notion, not the notion. His dad calls him spoiled brat
yeah.
when he gets home.
Well, I mean,
This is Tess. This is Tess.
yeah.
This is who Tess is.
Yeah, well, I mean, he obviously is, like, he comes from a wealthy family. He's clearly been given every advantage. He's taking advantage of those things so that he can, party and run around and just run amok, basically. He seems to have very little disregard for not only himself but other people. So he clearly has major issues. And I remember something, but I don't remember the entirety of it. But I remember there's something between Om's character, so Tess, and Nanon's character,
Hmm.
where they like used to be friends or something, and then there's like drama or something. Like, I remember there's something like that. Is that right? Does it sound right?
I don't know.
But yeah, I kind of remember something like that. So like, he's clearly had issues in the past, has issues, like, whatever. Um but yeah, and then of course there's all these little nods to other shows, which, as I said, when I watched the first time, bugged me. It could just be because of the shows that they chose. Like the first one you get is, well, actually, it may not. There may have been others, and I may just not have been paying attention yet. But the first one I noticed was obviously when they're driving in the car,
Mm-hmm.
him and the nurse, and it's slow, and he says like, "I wish they'd hurry up," or "Can't they hurry up," or something, and she says, "Just let them be. They're having a good time, or they're having fun, or whatever." And it's the two characters from Enchanté, and they've just
Mm.
got married, and I'm like, I don't care. And I might get crucified by people listening who loved that show, but I hated that show. So
Well, at least you know that in this world, this is normal. This is something that happens, and people don't blink an eye, and it's
oh
just.
look, I would have loved it, like, but I don't think it needed, like, I guess my issue is that it didn't need to be those characters, like, or not just like not any characters, like it could have just been two men just married, like it didn't have to
Yeah, no,
be.
I agree.
Yeah,
As I was talking in the trailer, this is distracting.
yeah, and as
It's
I said,
very
I
distracting.
yeah, and as I said, like it's a cute, sweet, positive moment, but I was like, because I didn't like the
Hmm.
show. So it took me out of it a little bit, but it's whatever. And then of course we get our first uh
Password,
password
code.
moment. And it's
Uh-huh.
like it's one of those things where it was, I think the reason why it bugged me was initially from memory was, and I had to explain it to my friend because it was funny. I believe that the first one is from like Together, maybe? No. What is that one where he says, "I'll kiss you too"? I can't remember.
I think it's from Together.
Yeah, I think it is from Together. And we had watched that. I had watched with my friend. Whatever it's from, we had watched the drama recently. And
Hmm.
um and she was like, "Oh, I know this." And so she thought it was really fun, and
Mm.
I had the opposite reaction to it. And the other thing, that the reason, mainly, like part of the reason, I think, was the way they had this weird conversation. Like Tale and her had this weird, because he's like, "Oh, you've been here 8 years. This show's only been out for two." Like it was just like that whole bit. It felt really kind of like,
Unnatural.
yeah, like contrived, and just like, I don't know. It just, I didn't like it. So, and that kind of put me
Hmm.
off it for the
Yeah,
future.
yeah, because you're trying to get into this character to see this as a realistic world and get
And not,
um
and let's be honest, like her explanation as to why they're using these things, or only people from our world would know. Like,
mhm,
okay, I mean, we watch BLs, but like there are a lot of people out there who secretly watch BLs that we wouldn't know. There's probably people we know who watch them that we don't know they watch them. But in general, it's not an everybody thing. Like, not everybody from our world is going to know the answer to that passcode. Like, it's going to be a very small population that's going to actually know the answer to that. And I mean, obviously, that's meant to be Thailand, isn't it? Like it says, it's the
mhm,
Association of Thais in an alternate world or whatever,
yeah.
alternate universe. So, like, okay, maybe more of them would be more familiar with it. I don't know what the percentages of like the Thai population who watch BLs or don't watch BLs, but it seems very limiting as well. Like, so it takes you out because it's like not a realistic, like it's not something you would choose. Like you would choose something that, like they bring up the topic of the fact that, like, in this world, Google is not called Google, it's called something else. So
Hmm.
you would perhaps, like, it would make more sense to be like, what is the search engine? Google.
Hmm.
Okay, let's open up and open the door. Do you know what I mean? Like something like that.
Hmm.
And because it's not something like that, because it's something so kind of contrived, it takes you out of like what's actually happening, which kind of, for
It
me, ruined
definitely
it.
does. It does. It does. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that
Yet it's
did
funny.
not serve the series well at all.
Yeah.
It was just a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I feel maybe they thought that it would have people get people more interested and get them excited, or I guess a lot of people were. But if you start getting excited about other series while you're watching this series, you're not thinking about this series, you're not thinking
Yeah.
about
You're
vice
getting
versa, you're thinking about
distracted.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think,
just not
I
good.
mean, I saw lots of people who were excited and who did like it and all the rest of it.
Mm,
And because, I mean, I guess that's the thing. We do like when we're watching shows, sometimes it is fun to find little Easter egg type things and stuff like that where it's cute and you're like, oh, I knew this, or
mhm,
like, oh, I
mhm,
recognize this, or, whatever. We got a
mhm.
couple of them in Cooking Crush from Not
Yeah,
Me, which was cute. But like, it's
they were more subtle.
yeah, and they were just like items, like
Mhm.
props or whatever, and they
You
weren't
might not
stuff.
even notice them.
That's
They're
right.
not important to the story.
That's right. They had no function in the story. They weren't like they didn't distract from them. The characters didn't talk about them. Like it just they were
Mhm,
just there, and if you noticed them, it was like, oh, fun. And if you didn't, well, it didn't really make a difference,
mhm,
to either show. And so I feel like with this, there was two things. Like either they were trying to be, remind you of other shows that you liked and making like a nostalgia moment, or they were trying
mhm,
to advertise other shows. And either
mhm.
way, it didn't, yeah, it rang kind of really like in a poor way for me. But as I said, I did see lots of people who thought it was a lot of fun. So I guess it just depends on your take. Um,
Yeah.
if I think a lot of people are like, oh, fun, I know this, or oh, I know this, or like whatever, or they were hoping to that their show, like their favorite show, would be mentioned, or something like that. And
Mhm.
I saw lots of people who were pissed when their stuff wasn't used or whatever. But I think only the shows in the world, like in the
You know,
university of the writer for this show, was like included, if that makes any sense. So that limited it as well.
there is a moment that is, I think, is a nod to Not Me, but I'm not sure. They're using some lines that like exactly lines from one of the scenes that are like one of my favorite scenes from Not Me. But the characters are just saying these things to each other, and it's a part of the story, and it's not like, oh, let's talk about some passwords or let's talk about the other world. It's just something that they say to each other. It's a part of their like dialogue.
Yeah. Okay.
So it feels different. Even though it did remind me of Not Me, it was cute.
Yeah.
It was like something that we did, like as you talked about, like Cooking Crush, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they included something and you had to be attentive to get it. It's not like they're telling you, oh, this is a line from a series from the other world,
Yeah, yeah.
from a
I
series that
think,
you
and I
might
mean, I
know.
think to that extent, like the scene where you see the couple, just married couple, I have an issue with it because I didn't like that show. I didn't like that couple. So,
Hmm.
like, if it had been a different couple from a different show and they'd used that as like the Easter egg, that probably would have been a cute moment. I didn't have that reaction to it because I just like I didn't like that show. So,
You know, the first time I watched it, I did not even know about Enchante. I did not know the actors from Enchante. I
yeah,
was like, just some guys in
yeah,
the
yeah,
car. I guess they dragged this moment a bit too much. That was what I was thinking. They dragged it a bit too much. They focused too much attention on these two guys, and I
mm-mm.
was like, maybe this is someone that I should know, but I didn't. So I was like, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay.
And so I think, that scene would have worked better if it was either two guys you didn't know and it was just that they were making commentary on same sex marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and how it should be legal everywhere. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being like, oh, look, here's a show that was out not that long ago, and oh, look, they got married. You know what I mean? Like, I just, to me, it was, but then as I said, I am comfortable enough in my own bias to know that if it was characters that I liked, I might have been like, so for example, if it had been Kai Third in that car who just gotten married or whatever, I would have been like, nah. So I'm confident enough to know that that wouldn't have bothered me the way it did. But I still think it would have been
Actually,
more powerful if it had just been like just two actors that we're not that familiar with. They're not part of a pairing. They were just two guys who'd gotten married.
It's very weird to say this, but I do not like the moment where Third appears.
I watched it, but
I
I don't
feel like
remember it.
I like Theory of Love. I love of God. And the first time that it was airing, I was obviously curious because, oh, look, Third is there. And, people were talking a lot about it on
Well,
Twitter and everywhere.
also
But
we didn't know whether it was going to be off and gun or just gun, and so everyone was
yeah,
curious to find out. Yeah.
yeah. But like when I actually fell in love with this story, when I get to that moment, I was like, oh my God, when is it going to end? When is it going to end? This is a bad moment. Just like, the moment with the passwords, or, just like, oh, I need to get through it,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
brace yourself,
I'll be
brace
curious to
yourself.
see how I feel when we get there, because I watched that moment. Like, I watched the scene and I don't remember it at all now, but I watched it when it aired. But I
Hmm.
only watched that scene, so I haven't seen, like, from when I stopped watching the show, which I think was around episode 6, I think, to when that
Hmm.
scene happens. I hadn't seen anything, so I had no idea who half the characters were or anything. And I didn't care
Mm.
at the time, so I was purely watching it to get a glimpse. And then, um, yeah, in terms of the, like, how it associated with the show, that wasn't really a thing for me. So it'd be interesting to see it in its entirety, like, with the show, and to see what my opinion is on this moment. Because, yeah, as I said, it's hard to know. Like, I mean, I made a joke, but I'm like, as I said, I could very well, if they had a different pairing in that scene, I might well have thought it was cute,
Hmm.
or liked it, because, sometimes I am a sucker for stuff like that. So I'm sure there are lots of people who liked Enchante, who loved that this scene included that and whatever, because it gave them, like, an extra closure or whatever. But in terms of what they're trying to say in this scene, and, like, the importance of the scene, I didn't like it for that respect. And I do honestly think it would be better if they just used two, like, characters, um like, random people. And I do think that, and as I said, but I do think, like, one of the reasons why I really didn't like it is because I didn't like the characters and I didn't like the show. So that put me off
Okay, so
watching
I'm
season one.
curious. I'm curious too to see if it throws you out and you feel like it shouldn't have been there, or you feel like
Yeah, or
it's
whether
all
I'm
right.
still just a fangirl. Yeah, see, I don't know. I'm curious too. I'm not sure what reaction I'll have. I feel like, as I said, I feel like in this scene that I should be fair and say that if it was a pairing I liked, I might be okay with it, because sometimes I do get fangirly. Um,
Mm.
but I know that I didn't like the scene because I didn't like the show and I didn't like the characters at the time. So, and because it was
No,
fresh, like, it was one of those
but
shows that I just watched and I was like, ugh, when I saw it. So I
this
really
one
didn't
is
pay
actually
attention.
not that bad compared to the one with third. This one, at least, they're here to tell you that, look, this is
Yeah, but do you know
um
what? I don't know how much attention I paid to at the time to what they were actually trying to tell us. I was so distracted by that I don't think I got like, now I get the significance of the message they're trying to put forward and everything. But at the time, I think it was lost on me because I was too distracted by them.
I don't remember if there's any significance to the scene with third.
Or if he's
So
just there
yeah,
just to
let's
have
get there. Let's see
yeah.
when we get there. So let's watch part three.
Okay, let's do it.
Part three.
Yes.
So we meet Juk Jang, the head of the association, and she has a very interesting presence. I like this actress. The way she held herself, she is very confident, and you believe that she is someone who might have started a thing like this.
Yeah, but I find both her and the one playing the nurse, like, super kind of, like, I don't know, like, pod people, because
How?
they're so calm.
What
Like,
people? What people?
pod people, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like, where they're like androids and not actual people, or they've been inhabited by aliens or something, because they're way too
What?
calm about this whole thing.
Oh,
Like,
they've been there for years,
I know, but, like,
and they keep meeting new people. Of course, they have a strategy. They have a way of
no, I know,
easing
but
them
it's just
in.
like there's, like, this bit where they're talking and they drop the bomb on him, where, like, it's like, if Tess dies then he dies, kind of thing. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh, but don't worry, like, it's all fine, sunshines and puppies, like, it's
But
just,
can you imagine another way of telling this story
they're just
to a
way too
person? Like,
cheerful about it when they're telling him that might
well,
be what
they're trying to
happens.
be supportive. They're
I don't
trying
know.
to show him that, even like
If
his
I was him,
urgency.
I
There's
would
a
be
lot of
super
urgency about the
creeped
way
out.
The way
I,
he is behaving regarding this, he wants to go back right
oh
now, and they
yeah, but I would be
know
so creepy.
it
I would
doesn't
I would
matter
find
that
them
even
so
if he
creepy.
stays there, it's okay because life keeps going on, and you can find stuff to enjoy and be happy about, and there's a community of people who will support you, and you're not alone. And
Yeah, no, I get all that, but I'm in specifically referring to the bit where it's like, oh, if he dies, you'll die too, and then they're like, nah, but don't worry, it's all fine. It's just it was the delivery, and it's like I get what you're saying too, but like if I was him, I would be like, this is really creepy, and these people are really creepy, and it would like wig me out a lot. But yeah, this is a personal thing. What I will say, you mentioned in the last part or the part before or something, I don't remember, about the use of blue as a color in this episode. You know,
Mhm.
they actually use a lot of pink as well, right? Like, there's a lot of pink in this world.
Yeah.
I just unlocked something, didn't I? I ticked a box of Morella's approval.
Yeah,
Like,
pink is a significant color in this world.
mm-hmm,
Maybe blue is a color of his loneliness.
yeah,
Blue is the color of Talay without Pun is
mm-hmm.
blue.
Um, the other thing that I liked the moment in this too, where he comes to the realization that like him being here means that Tess is in his world, and he's like, holy fuck, because he knows that this guy is such a mess. And he's just like, he's gonna ruin my life.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. You know what's interesting? Like they treat these things like here in the beginning, it's a bit like a bit of a comedy. It's even with the delivery of these lines,
Mm-mm.
if you die, they die. If they die, you die, and blah blah blah, and ha ha ha. And like this show is easing you in, and then at some point you're going to find yourself invested and very emotionally being very dramatic about it and thinking about things and being like, oh my god, what did that happen? And the beginning it's like, ah ha ha, it's a comedy, but it's not. It really isn't.
Mm-mm-mm.
So they're doing something here. I
The
don't know
other
how well it works for the series, but they're doing something.
the other thing that I think is that we find in this out in this part of the episode, which is quite interesting, is that when um when Tala is trying to do the thing at the university with the t-shirt which basically says, if you know me, come and speak to me, and
Hmm.
a friend of his or an acquaintance, let's call
Yeah,
them,
approaches
starts
him.
talking to him, we get
Hmm.
this impression then that Tess is a charismatic person that people like, but he's also a bully that people fear.
Maybe not that they like him, but you know how a lot of people tend to like
When you're
he's the
rich.
son of someone who's very rich. Like
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah, yeah.
he
So by
doors open in front of
association.
him.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, true, true, true. That could also be the case because he does mention about the fact that he's in a position where he doesn't have to, you know, work as hard as everybody else.
yeah, and I feel like Tess is such a person that like someone who cares about it, who sees that this might be an issue, who is bothered by the fact that people assume these things about him, that people have prejudice against him. Like you wouldn't tell that to a person to their face, but the fact that this guy just tells him like, "Oh, your dad is loaded, whatever. You shouldn't bother." Like, I mean, that's okay.
Mm,
Means that Tess doesn't care. He just accept that this is how things work, and he's fine with it. He just
mm-mm.
rolls with it. He takes advantage of his situation.
Well, that, or maybe that factors into why he's such an angry, dysfunctional person because he can't see like a way out of that. That's the role he's been given, so he's going to take advantage of it. He might as well enjoy it, you know. Why bother? Why try? Why whatever?
Maybe.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, we could have, you know, like for example, if we go back to and why not? Because we can. If we go back to Dangerous Romance, Kang
Hmm.
definitely could have been a character who just took his father at his word and didn't bother. Because why? He doesn't have to. There's no expectation of him to try and do anything. He could have just gone ahead and done whatever the hell he wanted. until it was time to, move on to the next step of his life, which he probably would have got away with doing whatever he wanted with that as well. Like, there was no
But his
expectation.
dad, Tess's dad, does have expectations. He
No,
obviously
no, but
cared.
I'm just saying, like, in terms of characterization, like, he is a character who could have reacted in that way. So
Mm,
I'm not saying that they don't have the same setup, obviously, because as you said, his
of
father does
course.
give a shit. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that he's not looking at it from the perspective, like, in Dangerous Romance, his focus wasn't other people. He was aware of the way other people, like, saw him, or, like,
Hmm.
had expectations or whatever, wanted things from him, but his focus was his father. Whereas, in this respect, maybe it's more about, like, other people, and also, the father is just, the father is a trigger for a different reason. But I'm just, I mean, I'm guessing we're probably not going to get too much into those storylines anyway, because they're not the main part of this show. So
So we get the story of how people get back to their own world. Do you remember?
yeah, the dream, and then you go to the place, and then, so, like, are you
No,
both
at
meant to?
first you have to find your
Oh, yeah,
person,
yeah. And
someone
then if
who
you do,
matches you.
then you start dreaming. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you dream of a place, and you have to go to that place, and you will be transported to the other world.
Are they meant to
And
go to
that,
the place together?
no, you're meant to go to the place that you're dreaming about.
Okay, so it's a separate personal thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that person is called a port keep. Basically, like the way it's explained, you'll feel it. Some kind of same interest, moles or marks on the same parts of the body, brief memory of meeting each other. This is basically soulmate stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and also the idea that if the person who inhabits your body dies, you also die is set up here.
Hmm. So I'm guessing someone at some point is going to die. Because otherwise, why mention it?
Maybe.
The other thing is, as well, like, so, you have this, as I said, I had this memory that they have, that Tess and Tun have a complicated history on Mananon's characters.
Hmm.
And, the other thing we find out in this episode is that when he was getting beaten up and abandoned, it was Tun who, like, saved him, essentially, or tried to
Yeah.
save him. Um, and so this idea that, you were talking about earlier of, Jimmy's character and C's character being soulmates who just basically couldn't get their shit together in their world, being transferred to this world to have another opportunity. Like, obviously the same thing is happening with Tess and Tun in, like, I guess, our world. They're meant to be having the same experience.
Hmm.
I'm curious. I guess we find out, but, like, do we find out what happened to Nanon's character to prompt this switch with Jimmy's character?
I had some ideas because when you meet him, like there's a way he is presented, and you'll see. And then he's thrown into the life of Poon. So we'll talk about it after the next part.
Yeah,
I
because
am, I
I
am curious
remember,
too.
as I said, I remember, like, certain things. Like, obviously, as you said, he has Jimmy's character has an accident and ends up, here as well. But
Hmm.
yeah, I was just curious. As I said, I know Nanon's character's not a big thing. I was just curious to know whether or not they actually tell you that, or whether it's kind of just something you, as you said, get an impression of, or whatever.
Get an impression, mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, get an impression. They don't tell you. No.
All right.
So there's a lot of Om in this episode. A lot of moments where they switch actors and Om is there. It almost never happens later.
Yeah, I think that because they're still trying to establish, like, the differences, but also not only that, but that, like, the way everyone else in this world is
Yeah.
seeing him.
Hmm. So, how he got beaten up, they find out that he flirted with a girl who was not available, and then the boyfriends and the friends beat him up.
It seems like a major overkill, didn't it? Did you see the stuff on the camera where there's, like, what, 9 guys kicking the crap out of him?
They were very angry.
I mean, like, I feel
Yeah,
like if you've got a girlfriend and she's off flirting, then having 9 of your buddies beat up the guy who she flirted with is probably not the option, like the best solution to your problem. Your solution is probably find a new girlfriend.
that's true. But I guess, he is the person who gets. I'm not saying that he is to blame, but he is someone who gets involved in with people who are like this. Who knows? Maybe he even did that because he knew she was in, like he. Oh, that's
Yeah,
what they say basically. He knew she was involved, so he did it on purpose.
yeah.
He was like
He's
maybe
looking
daring
he's
that
looking
guy,
for
or
a
like,
fight, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But usually characters who are like that are like that because something has upset them. So, like, you know what I was saying before, like there's um motivation is either going to be external, so like the way other people see him, or internal, which is probably going to have something to do with his like close relationships. So not that like it's worth maybe getting into too deep, because as I said, I don't know that they really focus on any of this, but like a character who goes looking for trouble is usually because they have aggression they need to get out, or they feel like
Hmm.
they need to be punished for something.
Yeah, which reminds me of his father.
Mm. So as I said, it's like it's always a thing, isn't it? It's a thing with GMM boys and their complicated relationships with their fathers.
Yeah, I don't remember if they ever mentioned Tele having a father. His mom appears later in the series, but I don't remember anything about a father being there.
Is there an amazing grandmother?
There's no, no,
See,
there's no
this is
amazing.
why this show is not that good.
I'm going to come to you and I'm going to bite you.
Come
They
on,
cannot put amazing grandmothers in every series. There'll be like
look,
an
they
overdose, and
could have had.
they would be.
Look,
They wouldn't be amazing if you had an amazing grandma in every series. It has to be rare,
no, do you know
to be
what?
special.
This is a missed opportunity because they could have had an amazing grandmother in both universes. Two for the price of one.
All
Anyway,
right then. So
should we
let's
watch part
go.
4
Yeah, let's go.
before Morella's head explodes? All right, bye.
Hello. Part 4.
Part 4. So I think I'm coming into the bits where I was like definitely going to sleep and like only saw bits and pieces.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I feel like I'm remembering some bits as well. So yeah. One of the things I was fearing greatly, and we had discussed previously to watching this, is that about a lot of product placement and stuff. Although so far in this episode, it's just a lot of ads.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to wait for like the couple to start before they can do the product placement, do they? Yeah. So okay. So in this, he's basically hunting down Ton. I had a question because this is to me what they do here. They did this thing that was kind of weird but also interesting. I'm not sure if they're going to if they're going to not investigate, but if they're going to expand on this later on. But like, he goes to meet a friend who is identical to one of his actual friends from his place, and so he confuses him with his friend, but he's not. He's just exists in this world as well, but
Mm-hmm.
looks exactly like his friend, which begs the question: is there someone who looks exactly like Tale already in this world?
Well, something like this with Tale does not happen, but with other characters, maybe.
Ah,
But it's not important. Not really important to the story. It's something that happens at the end, and it's like a nice
way to
twist.
finish things up. Yeah, yeah. I wondered because, as I said, to introduce a character who looks exactly the same but is a different person is an interesting concept.
Well, you
Um,
know they do with a gun, right? Because
sorry.
Talay thinks gun it's Ghana Tapan when he sees him, but
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
it's
It's true. Yeah, it's not. It's third. Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's true. Yes, I do actually remember that now.
yeah. So when he meets that friend, he's suddenly so happy to see a familiar face. He started he's starting to feel lonely. He's
Mm-mm-mm.
starting to meet the
Well,
people in his life.
yeah, yeah, that's right. It's like, and it's something familiar to him, as well as being like a person. So, um, and so
So the guy Tan is a screenwriter and he has lots of
side
how do I
jobs.
call this? Another serious character who is very passionate about his job,
Mm-hmm.
who takes his dreams and goals seriously. How many times I
Well, I
said
mean, the
serious?
besides using these jobs to better his writing, as screenwriter, unless you are famous or something, is not necessarily a great way to make money either. You
Hmm.
need to have another job, essentially, or in this case, like 10 other jobs.
Yeah, and then we had the scene in the bar, and I actually laughed at the joke with the fingers.
Well, it actually it's logically it makes sense,
Mhm.
you know.
And then Tan appears.
So I have a question here, and once again, this is another one where it's probably somewhat spoily, so I'll let you decide whether or not you tell me
Mhm.
here or later or like at all, but I want to know. So in this, I feel like I know the answer to it already anyway, but I'm not sure. So okay, so we meet him, he sings, and he's terrible. Which is funny because Nanon is a singer. But
Mhm.
and the guy's like, "Oh, he's the best,"
Mhm.
and Tully's like, "What the fuck?
Mhm.
The best at what exactly?"
Best
Um,
singer of apparently.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is a character who is trying his hardest to get away from um Tully. Like he's yeah. So I have I have two questions. The first question is, it's not really a question. It's like it's like kind of a memory that I'm not sure if it's real or not. It's like those hazy memories where you're like you think you were dreaming but you're not really sure. So
Yeah, yeah, go on.
I feel like when he meets like Tan, like Jimmy as Tan, like Pun as Tan,
Yeah.
like when he sings, he's not off key, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not in this episode here where they meet and they're like there's this aggression between them. He's
Mm-hmm.
not Pun yet, is he?
No.
No, he's
Mm-mm.
still Tan. Okay,
Yep.
that's what I was trying to establish because I was like, there's way too much animosity here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also kind of a bit like he when he first walks into the bar and sees him, he's very like apprehensive isn't the right word because he doesn't look like concerned or worried to see him. It's more like he's like confused and like kind of intrigued, but also like doesn't want to engage. So it was an interesting thing to see when you didn't know whether or not it was him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like it's like why is he acting like so? It's almost like he is so surprised to see Tess there,
Yes.
like of his own free will, I guess, that it like wigged him
Mm-hmm.
out majorly, and so he like took off.
Well,
Um,
he has another reason. Can you guess it? Considering that he and Tess get transported in to the other world.
oh, that he's in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I assumed, as I said, like I think I said before, that I assumed they're meant to be soulmates too, who can't get their shit together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so this is another way to look at the scene. This is from his point of view. This is like a romantic scene that is not romantic because of the reality of who Tess is.
yeah,
But, in another world.
yeah, that's right. In another world, quite literally. But yeah, so we have this like super like awkward, painful scene with the singing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually love the bit in the bar where he's like sneaking out, and then Tale like sort of like, I knew you were gonna sneak away, and then like he just totally grabs him and
Mm-hmm.
throws him out. Like, it was very well done. I found it both comical but also like creative direction. I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you get all of that, and then of course we get to meet Big Bro.
Yep. Shampoo is
I was gonna say, AKA Chef,
here.
AKA Creepy Chef Man. But yeah, so he is a little bit surprised as well by Tess's
Yeah.
behavior, because he's not arguing, he's not, whatever,
Being
being confrontational.
hot-headed
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Almost,
No.
yeah.
Instead, he agrees to go and work at the company because, like, let's face it, as I said, this is like Tully's like dream come true to be able to do something like this. And yeah, it's so funny. I remember when I watched this the first time, I knew, like, I was conscious for this scene, and I was like, when him and his brother were walking up, I was like, oh well, it has to be Nanon's character like sitting there.
Yeah.
And I also remember watching, like, this is a completely random thing, but I remember because I watched Bad Buddy and then I watched this straight after as it was airing, which is pretty much how they set it up. And I think they did a really good job of, like, and this is just like a commentary on GMM, not necessarily like, sorry, um, because like in Bad Buddy, obviously they're in like university or whatever, and like they're meant they make them a little bit younger or like whatever, and in this they seem like adults.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they did a very good job of very much distinguishing characters and stuff like that. Which obviously, as I said, the two shows aren't connected or anything like that. But I just you're not at all confused about like what you're watching the characters, even though we're only seeing glimpses of these characters because they're not the main focal point. I feel like they're actually
Mm-hmm.
giving you very good, like they've created really good images for the characters, so you know what you're, like what you're watching, who you like.
Yeah, and also and C have completely different vibes. Like when we see interacting as Tess interacting with Tan,
Mm-mm.
the way he asks questions, he looks demanding. Like, why did you? It's like he accuses him of saving him.
Yeah, yeah.
While I feel like if it was Talay, if Talay delivered, like if C delivered those lines as Talay in Tess's body, he would sound completely different.
Mm-mm-mm.
He's so much softer.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's I think they, in actual fact, like, I mean, they probably cast it this way. We've talked about before that they cast it this way probably to sort of like, I guess, almost like not lure, but like soften the blow and create interest in a pairing that
Hmm.
hadn't had a show before and things like that by using a pairing that was suddenly very popular. But I do think they cast it well because like
Yeah,
the
I
actors and
agree.
the characterizations are very different.
Yes. Yes, you look at the way plays Tess and you understand how, people see him.
Mm-mm.
Even though it's Tale in Tess's body, people still see Tess right now at least.
Mm-mm-mm. So,
Because he has this
in,
demeanor.
yeah,
He has
he
this,
has like an intensity to him.
yeah.
Mm. So, and it's interesting that for the most point, like Ton, like actual Ton, like Nanon Ton, is a serious career focused character, much like Kale is.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious to know more about Pun's character, to know if there are any similarities between him and Tess, like parallels.
Hmm. Well, They threw this papers so high up. It's very dramatic.
It is very dramatic, but it's a really cool scene though as well. Like especially because
Mm-hmm.
like we haven't had any commentary on like the weirdness that's going on in the show, um, with the see through like with the oh what do they call it? Oh, there's a word for it. Um,
Transparent.
yeah, transparent paper. Yeah, that's the one. Um, but yeah, like we, just the effect of it and everything. It just looks really cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there's a similar scene in the trailer for the trainee.
Mm. Oh yeah.
That's
Oh
very
yeah.
similar and dramatic, and also like cinematically, like really impressive, and gives you
Pleasing.
this kind of like, even though, like even it has this dramatic vibe, but it always has like a romantic vibe to it as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting
Mm-hmm.
thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tan doesn't want to talk, and he says, "I hate you," which is a very strong um, affirmation
Yeah.
because it means that he has intense feelings for this person. You wouldn't just tell someone
No,
that you
well,
don't
that's
care
right. And
about,
there's such a
"I
fine
hate you."
line, isn't there? There's such a fine line
Yeah.
between it sometimes.
And what I loved the way C delivered the line, "Shit, this is harder than I thought," and the way they cut it. And then when the music starts, I think it was very well done.
Mm-mm.
I just felt, oh, whoa, something is starting. Something like
Yes.
it was very pleasant to me.
It's funny because and now I don't know if this is the alcohol talking.
No, it is not. Okay, it's not. Go
You
on.
don't know if I'm gonna say something good or bad here.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to say something good because you're trying to justify yourself right now with the alcohol.
I could just be trying to use the alcohol as a justification because I'm afraid that you're going to be mean to me.
I don't think so. Tell me your truth.
You're way too excited about this. I don't feel like I should give you this. I feel like I'm handing you a gift that you haven't
Oh,
earned.
come on. Come on, don't be mean.
So I feel
You
like
love me. You said you love me. Go on.
I feel like it could be the alcohol speaking, but it also is probably a lot to do with my newfound, thanks to Last Twilight, Jimmy C Love, in that I'm definitely
Mhm.
enjoying this a lot more than I did the first time. So um
And let me tell you this, it gets better. It gets
what
so much better.
what I will say as well is I don't know if my original first watch was to do with the show or whether it was a me thing. I sometimes have
Hmm.
this thing with books. I mean, you and I talked about it. I said to you how it took me like 100 years to read the first Hunger Games book because I got to a certain part and I just like bogged down and could not read it. I just could
Hmm.
not get past this like one part, and then eventually when I finally got back into it, I read the rest of the book and then the rest of the like series in about less than a month, sort of thing. So I sometimes think it's like, maybe there's something going on with me personally or like in my life, or like for whatever reason something just doesn't interest me at the time. Then you come back and revisit it and it's better than you thought it was, or you're more accepting of it, or more tolerant, or like whatever. So it could also be that, but
Open-minded. More
yeah.
open-minded.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's definitely some open-mindedness in it because I'm more willing
Hmm.
to like it, I think, because as I said, I really really enjoy watching Jimmy and C together, and I also really am a huge fan of them, as well, especially after Last Twilight. And also I know how much you love this. So I although as I said I'm going to be very hard if I find something I don't like or that I question or whatever, I feel like I've come into it with, as for all jokes aside, with a much more positive mindset, and I am enjoying it. So much more than I thought I was. I thought I would actually really struggle, if I'm being honest. I was concerned. It's why I had multiple alcoholic beverages lined up. I was like, I may need more than one drink. Um but yeah, and so it's been a long week. I'm really tired. I was like not sure how I would go, but I did not fall asleep. I did manage to stay awake. So there's that. But yeah, we're very
Okay.
much, it feels like we're at a point now where it's about to get going. As I said, I can remember certain things. Like I remember, it's funny actually, because the things that I remember, I think I've always been a Jimmy girl, because I feel like the stuff that I remember quite well is usually, it's focused around his character. So um but I don't remember much. I don't remember much from when they, except from when they meet the next time, and um he sings not off key and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I don't really remember anything. So it'll be interesting to see. I keep saying I've seen like 6 episodes, but I'm now questioning is whether or not I've actually seen that much. So
Hmm.
I'll let you know if things stop seeming familiar after a while. But yeah,
All right.
it's I'm curious to see what happens next, which I feel like is where I need to be to continue to want to watch it. Um, the It's funny because I know I'm not meant to be really, but I am actually really interested in the other characters, even though I know we're not going to get their story. So that may
Mm-hmm.
frustrate me later. I'm just giving you a warning on that. And I don't know why, because I think on the first watch of this, I couldn't have cared less. So I'm not sure why I'm sort of. I think because once again, this is this weird thing that's happened to us from doing the podcast and watching stuff the way we watch stuff now, is I want to know more. And so, like, in my mind, I'm theorizing for the characters that we're being shown, even though they're not the focus. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's just the way my brain is hardwired now. I'm going to have questions, or I'm going to be curious about things, because to me I might feel that they have significance, even if the writers in the show didn't actually think they did. Like in my brain, I might be like, well, I want to know because this happened, and so I need to know why this happened. So bear in mind that you may get some of that from me.
If you are starting to watch this series with us, let us know. We will put spoiler warnings because, of course,
I think I'm going
we
to
discuss the
anyway.
series.
Same with the Not Me one. Like I feel like even if we try not to spoil, we're going to. There's going to be some things that
Yeah,
you just can't help. You know what I mean? Like it comes out, and we may not even realize we've done it until after we've done it. Um,
yeah.
so I feel like I
But
feel
let us know
we're
if you're starting to watch this again with us, or if you're just trying to watch vice versa for the first time. Let us know. I'm very curious.
yeah. I would imagine that a lot of people would be going back to visit it. Maybe people who never even gave it a try because they didn't really know who Jimmy C were or whatever, but who watched Last Twilight and really liked it. I would be surprised if it's not getting more watches. Um, I would suggest that I was going to have a look at the watch count, and just out of curiosity to see if it, between now and like when we finish the podcast, if it like had gone up much or anything like that. But then, we also have to factor in how much are you watching it. Like, how much are you
Yeah,
watching it in your off time, Morella? Like, how many times are you watching this episode?
not that many, to be honest. It's just always in my mind.
I'm just teasing.
I've been, I started watching some moments obsessively at some point, but I prefer going and looking for gifs and talking
you,
about it.
you're gonna have to tell me what these obsessive moments are when we get to them.
Oh, you'll know. You will know.
Oh, so do I have to guess? Do I?
I don't know. We'll see. I might.
I
I
feel
might tell you.
I feel like I
If
should.
you stop talking about falling asleep, I think about it.
Well, I feel like I have to talk about falling asleep now because you turned it into a drinking game, and we want the people to drink if they want to. Um, I actually mentioned falling asleep a couple of times extra in here because I thought, well, maybe someone wants another sip.
Maybe we should create a drinking game. Maybe we should think of some ideas. If you're our listener, and if you know about some stuff that we could keep talking about or bringing up or mentioning, and you have ideas on what we could do about it, let us know. We'll think about it.
Every
We
time
might.
Zoe says this, every time Morella
Yeah.
says that. Yeah, because we don't actually know if we say something a lot. You may be noticing traits of us that we don't know ourselves. The other thing is this is not a what do you call it? This is not an encouragement for alcoholism. You can do this with juice.
Or water.
Or
Stay
water.
hydrated.
Water is probably better. Water is probably better than juice. Juice has sugar in it.
Or
we
like
don't want you to get we don't want you to get diabetes either.
you give hiccups every time you hear, Zoe talking about sleep.
Yeah, I know, right? But no, okay, so what you're saying to me is if I stop talking about sleep, but then the people don't get their drinks, then you're going to reward me. I feel like I should be getting rewarded anyway. Look at what a good friend I am.
I'll think about it. We'll think about it. You're just so much better than me as a friend.
That was a sound I made with my mouth too, by the way. Just for clarification. I do not think that is the case, but that's okay. I think that you're pretty special to put up with my special brand of insanity. I actually think you're a little bit nuts personally to put up with me, but that's okay. I'm not going to argue too much. My mum told me to accept gifts politely, so so thanks for that. Yeah, so I guess this is pretty much it. We liked it. We watched it. We had stuff to say.
Looking forward to the next episode.
Yes.
Talk to us, send us asks on Spotify, talk to us on Tumblr, on Twitter, and thank you for spending your time with us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.